Miseroer Dialogue and Partnership Services (DPS) in Nigeria, a German Catholic Bishops' Conference organization for development cooperation, has launched a book on trauma sensitivity work with communities. The book, which has the title Stories of Pain and Hope, was an opportunity for Miseroer Dps and partners to highlight areas of trauma sensitivity work using community-based approach. CTV News was there.
Stories of Pain and Hope trauma brochure launch was Miseroer Dialogue Partnership Service way of highlighting and responding to the prevailing social issues of kidnapping, terrorism, gender-based violence, internally displaced persons, and other challenges confronting the country.
So, and our nervous system, our bodies, our hearts are not made for constant stress of survival. We need to listen to people's hopes and life aspirations. We need to convince violent husbands in abuses and acting violently against their wives that it's not a solution. And this negatively affects also their children. A community needs to understand that stigmatization against somebody because the person is different is injustice.
We ask God to bless this work and may it be a source of help to many of our people. And as we go, that we understand that yes, there are moments, including myself, running a place like this, sometimes you're angry with people. When you sit down and analyze it, actually you're not even supposed to be angry. But because you are overstressed and trauma is setting in, you are almost the same. You need to feel from the left hand side of the head, coming down to the shoulder. You know, that's how it begins.
My career as a social worker, I have seen people who are traumatized, people who have gone through quite horrendous experiences and have become very morbid. So much so that you are having conversations with them over an hour, they are not able to respond until you tell a story that resonates, and then they are able to express themselves. I have seen children in the streets of Maiduguri, Mobi, expressing what they saw, shooting guns without bullets, I have seen women in their numbers tell stories of what they experienced, just to me as a researcher. But I haven't had the opportunity of anybody bringing them to tell their stories or telling their stories in such a way that it is an advocacy piece of material for government or development partners, CSOs, to work with as a script to address trauma-related issues.
This 2-day conference is an opportunity for Miseroer Dps and her partners to provide solutions to traumatized Nigerians using community-based approach. From the German-speaking congregation to the Catholic Relief Services to the Ministry for Women Affairs, these stakeholders took turns to express concern over the way people are traumatized in recent times.
He calls us beautiful. He says he will give us a garment of praise instead of a spirit of heaviness. So, when people get set free from trauma, they talk about feeling lighter. And this feeling of lightness comes because they are no longer carrying the weight of the trauma. People who carry trauma are weighed down. But Jesus says he will lift that weight from us, clothe us in praise, and shift our identity back to who we are. Beautiful build, not shattered, but rooted up in the heart.
We often look at trauma of our participants, the people that are affected, maybe IDPs, refugees, those who fled certain conflicts, but the critical need of also focusing on ourselves as humanitarian workers, as partners, as women religious, men religious, and women religious, And so they need to expand trauma healing to those who are at the front line dealing with traumatized populations, because they themselves become traumatized as they're confronted with these stories over and over again and trying to work with them.
The most painful part of it is that all these evils are perpetrated by the supposed caregivers. People that are supposed to protect are the ones abusing. What do we do? When it happens, there are potentials in people. The fact that one is going through a traumatic experience, let's support the person and you will see the best of the person. The day Reverend Father called me, we were in Yola. We've gone there to mark the 10th year anniversary of the adoption of the Chibok girls. And believe me, because they have community support, a lot have changed in their lives. So please, when one is a victim or becomes a survivor, let's try and support them so that life continues.
It is a very difficult time that we are going through. Apart from violence that is going on, the banditry, terrorism and all the rest, people go through a lot of pain. You see, when you go to market today, something that yesterday was just 5,000 naira, only for you to get there today is 7,000 naira. So many families have been separated because of the situation we find ourselves now. So I think this is the best time to really have something like this. And I thank you so much for showing this idea and putting it into reality.
In her book presentation, Julia Croyer, the head of Miseroer Dps, gave an overview of what readers should be expecting in the book.
In the brochure, you will be introduced to 4 stories. A story involved a 12-year-old girl, Ronke, who is sexually abused by her uncle and after an abortion sees life on the streets as her only way out. The next story is about Ibrahim. Ibrahim's parents died during a Boko Haram attack on his village, and he is arrested after becoming violent in an IDP camp. A further story tells of Mama Ngozi, a successful businesswoman who is confronted with jealousy by her community and after the death of her husband and is accused of witchcraft. The last story is about Amira, who was married at the age of 15 and suffers from domestic and gender-based violence. These are just a few examples of traumatic experience faced by people, especially girls and women in Nigeria on a daily basis.
The majority of our people don't even understand that they are traumatized, that they are going through so many things. They don't understand it. But if they see something like this, then it begins to make sense that, okay, so this is what is happening, then help can be given. They can also ask for help, somebody to talk to, somebody to help them out. So I think that this book should be able to reach policymakers, our community leaders, to see how we can together heal not only individuals but communities at large.
Out with our organizations is girls and women. Of course there are issues with boys and men as well, but the most affected I would say are girls and women.
In Abuja, Tony Abba, CTV News.